What's up, Infected? Welcome to the Quarantine. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a game that was recently on Kickstarter by the name of Sword Art Online Sword Fellows. Now, Sword Fellows takes place during the Elfheim Online portion of the Sword Art Online series, where you have that big floating island and you're trying to make your way all the way up to the top to defeat a final boss. Now, mechanically speaking, the game is a dice rolling push your luck game. Where you have to systematically and kind of strategically decide who you're going to bring with you into certain fights, and you have to try to use all of your dice, and kind of how do you go about doing that? Do you try to do a little bit of damage to be able to use all your dice, or do you try to go for your strong abilities to try to get these fights over with? Because some of them have special rules and so on and so forth. And you have to get through the 3 different layers of the dungeon and then defeat the final boss to win the game. So let's just go straight over to the overview. Sorry about that, folks. Last thing I forgot to mention is everything you see in this video is the standard edition of the game that I received as a review copy. Alright, in Sword Art Online Sword Fellows, you're going to set up the map pretty much as you see here. You're going to take one lower, one middle, one upper, and then the final boss always remains the same. Now, as you see here, there is a total of 3 upper, 3 middle, and 3 lower. All of them are different, and they include stills from the TV show as well. So you're going to shuffle these up, shuffle the 3 upper, put one down face down, and then you're going to go ahead and build it that way. Then, each player is going to go ahead and choose one of the characters. So you have Lisbeth, of course Kirito, Silica, Klein, Asuna, and Agil, I think is how it's pronounced. And you're going to choose, each player is going to wind up choosing one of these. However, Kirito must be in the game. So one player will choose Kirito, and the other one will maybe choose Silica. And those will be the characters that are in the game. And now you're ready to go. So what your first thing you're going to do is you're going to flip over the lower section of card, and you're going to see what you're going to be fighting. So in this case, it is a lower section fight, and as you see in the top left corner here, the first number is the primary dice that you're going to roll. So that would be the black dice. So Kirito always has to go first. So Kirito will be rolling 3 dice. But then this 3 is secondary dice, so you choose one of the 3 other players in this case that you want to go with you. So let's say we're going to make Silica go with him. Then you're going to look here. So this, you're going to have to go through the 4 different steps in order to kill this creature. His first step has 8 health, and it's going to do 3 damage at the end of the round. Once you've defeated this, you're going to move the marker that you see here, and you're going to move that 1 step down once you've defeated a step. So what you're going to do is each player is going to go ahead and roll their 3 dice, and they're going to compare it to their character card. Now, I'm going to show you Kirito's here, but each one of the characters are a little different. So Kirito has to roll, if you see here, he's just got a bunch of X's. So if you don't know what the symbol is, on the back of the card it explains. So for example, the sword skill with icon X will trigger if you have that many dice of the same result. If you get all 8 dice the same, you can trigger the eclipse. So, Kirito is trying to get all of the same number, whereas Silica, she's trying to get even numbers. So, the 2 players that are involved in this roll will collectively decide which dice they want to keep. So in this case, Kirito needs all of 1 number, so we have 2 6s, and Silica needs evens, and we got a 4. So, maybe that's what they're going to keep. Then you're going to roll these again, and you get to do this up to 2 times to allow rerolls. So now we have 2 2s. Silica can use that. If she can get 3 2s, as you see here, if Silica can get 3 2s, 3 4s, or 3 6s, and I'll explain the leveling system in a second, then she can perform these attacks. So you're going to continue to do that until you've exhausted all of your rerolls, or you've decided that you have locked in your dice and this is what you're doing. Now, a character card, when you first start the game, you start off at level 30. So, Asuna here, she can start with the starry tier and anything below it. However, once you've defeated the entire lower section, you go to the middle, you level up, and you're now level 50. Then when you defeat that, you go to the upper section, you're now level 80, so you'll have everything available to you, along with your hit points that you see up here at the top. So as level 30, you only have 8 health, level 50 you have 12, level 80 you have 16, and then you have these little ability markers. Now the ability markers that you see here they will trigger your character's special abilities. So for example, Asuna, if you are level 30 and you're playing with 4 players, as you see here, she has 1 use. And 1 use, she can flip up to 2 standard dice to their opposite sides. And each one of the characters has a unique power like that. And once you use it, this token here goes back to the pool. But getting back to how our attacks go. So let's say this was our final result here. We have 2 6s, 2 2s, a 4, and a 1. So we're going to collectively decide what we can use. So Kirito, his vertical arc, can use 2 numbers of the same kind. So he can use these 6s, and he can use these 2s. However, Silica can use even numbers. So Silica can use her attack command with this 4. However, nobody gets to use this 1. So you're going to tally up here. So we've done vertical arc twice, so that's 8. And then that's 9 for Silica's auto attack. So you're going to take a 5 and 2 2s to put on this creature. So we've done the more than the 8 damage here on this, but it's going to now attack back. So it does 3 damage to everybody involved. So both characters would get a 2, and then both characters would get a 1 to show they've both taken 3 damage each. Then, because we've performed the maximum number of damage, or the maximum damage designated by its health, these would be removed, and then this moves down to the next step. And then we have to do it again, because there's, I guess, multiple dogs. However, let's say that maybe we rolled, I don't know, another 4. So in this case, we're able to use all of the dice. Either, Kirito can use vertical arc, 3 times, or maybe Silica can auto attack twice. But regardless, if you've used every single one of the dice, this is called a flawless transition. So in that case, the enemy does not attack you back. The enemy, because you were able to transition between the two flawlessly, the enemy doesn't get a chance to attack back. So it behooves you to try to get to the point where you can use all of your dice. Then after that's happened, the character that just went, so in this case it was Kirito's turn, Kirito is going to exhaust himself and turn his card sideways, but now it's Silica's turn, because Silica was the partner that he took. So Silica's going to do the same thing. So maybe Silica's going to take Asuna, and you guys are going to continue to do this. Once you've cleared all of the steps on one of the levels here, you're going to go ahead and return it back to the box, and now everybody gets to level up. So when you level up, you're going to unexhaust everybody, you're going to go ahead and heal everybody, and then you're going to give everybody their character die that you see here. Now your character die you can always replace one of the dice that you're rolling with your character die. Your character die is tailored to what your character can do. So Kirito's is all 1s and 6s, Silica's are all evens, Lisbeth's are all odds, and so on and so forth. If you ever roll the face, it's whatever number you want it to be. Not only that, your characters now would be level 50, so you can use your level 50 abilities and below, and you would use your level 50 hit points and your ability, the amount of times you can use your abilities. And then lastly, you will draw one of these item cards. Now if it's a consumable, it stays in the middle of the table, and anybody can use it, pending approval from everybody. However, if it's one of these blue equipment cards, whoever struck the final blow gets to decide who is going to get this card. Once you've leveled up to the upper section, you will get access to the Yui card. The Yui card is a support card. Once you've used it, it's removed from the game, but it basically prevents somebody from dying. Other than that, you would level up just like normal, except you don't get character dice because obviously you already have them. You're going to do this until you've completed the lower, middle, and then top section, and then you will fight the end of the world. So he has several special rules, which I'm not going to get into here, which make this fight a little interesting. Once you've defeated him, then you are all declared the winner. However, throughout the course of the game, if any character's hit point is reduced to 0 and you have no means to revive them, then the game is over and all of the players lose. Alright, Sword Art Online. Well, right out of the gates, I wasn't sure how much I was going to like it. You know, I do enjoy the IP, even though it takes place in the part of the IP I didn't like. But I do enjoy the IP. But when I found out it was a dice roller and a push your luck game, I was a little on the fence, because I like push your luck games, but I hate luck-based games, if that makes any sense. So when I pulled everything out and read through the rule book, it actually wound up playing really well. It's very smooth. Most of the rules are very, fairly straightforward. I did have a few questions. There's a few things that probably could be clarified a little better in the rulebook, but overall, it was a very enjoyable game. However, the game does have a few flaws that, of course, are going to turn some people off. The biggest one being, of course, if you don't like very heavy luck games, you may not like this game. But there is some mitigation to the luck involved, because of course you get 2 rerolls, but then on top of that, it's you and somebody else's abilities that you're able to kind of start to use. So you wind up having to think a little strategically. Okay, well, I use odds, and if you're Elizabeth, okay, I use odds, maybe I'll bring Silica, because Silica can use evens. Now chances are we're going to be able to use all of our dice and do a flawless transition so we don't get hit. So you do have those things in play, and then Silica is also the healer. She doesn't do a lot of damage, but she's the only one that is capable of healing the party. So she's also very important to bring. But then, some of the other people have their own special abilities. Like Klein hits like a freight train, but you have to roll really low on all your dice all the time. And so you wind up being able to mitigate a lot of the luck that some people may not like in the game. Now, another minor gripe that I had about the game is the 90s road trip map style rule books. I detest these. I would much rather have a tiny little booklet rule book like this to be able to go through the rules. I hate having to pull this out all the time and go, okay, where's the rule I'm looking for? These drive me crazy. And then the last complaint that we had was the end of the world. Now, I'm not going to go too much in depth, but basically the end of the world, the first part of the fight is a standard fight. The last part of the fight, it is Kirito only, and you get a number of chances equal to the number of players, because basically Kirito is the only one rolling dice. Kirito has to be able to use his final ability that he has to roll 6 of the same number, and then roll a 6 on top of everything in order to be able to do just enough damage to kill him. So it's kind of a cop-out final boss fight, which is kind of lame. Other than that, the game is really fun. So leading all the way up to that final boss, the game is very enjoyable. You're throwing your dice and you're making these tough decisions. Who am I going to bring with me? How do I want to try to mitigate these dice? Do I want to, again, with Elizabeth and Silica, though it's one of the better combos that we found, because you can always use all of the dice. Because Elizabeth uses odds, Silica uses evens, you will use all the dice. But then, now it's Silica's turn, and she's got to figure out who she can bring, and it can't be Elizabeth. So you have a lot of decision making for such a small little game. So yes, I definitely enjoyed the game, and for such a tiny little game that fits in your coat pocket, it's a lot of fun. There's plenty of decision making, there's a nice little dash of luck with mitigation applied in there, and it's a good, fun little game that's going to be fairly different each time you play it, because a lot of the different enemies have different effects, like AoE effects. So rather than just hitting the 2 people that are involved, everybody takes the damage. So now you have even more of an incentive to try to get that, perfect transition. And so for such a push your luck game, it is a lot of fun. So anyways, I definitely recommend it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time in the Quarantine.